A major aluminum smelter in Quebec just announced a massive $1.5 billion investment backed by a fresh long-term power deal with Hydro-Quebec. This bold move comes as Rio Tinto's Canadian aluminum operation greenlights one of its biggest projects yet, catching global attention and reported first by Bloomberg. Meanwhile, in the United States, Donald Trump took the stage at a Pennsylvania steel plant rally where he shocked the crowd by pledging to double steel import tariffs to 50%. Overnight, that announcement sent aluminum markets into chaos. The Midwest aluminum premium skyrocketed by 54%, jumping to a record $1,325 per ton. And as Trump's Section 232 tariffs doubled, Canada hit back hard. Ottawa fast-tracked a $1.5 billion smelter upgrade, preparing to reroute over 3 million tons of aluminum to Europe and Asia, leaving United States factories scrambling for supply. While American automakers and aerospace giants brace for rising costs, European and Asian buyers have already locked in Canadian aluminum at pre-tariff rates, quietly signing side deals to ensure steady supply. This leaves the United States watching from the sidelines as others secure cheaper aluminum. Hey everyone, welcome back to Top 10 America Beyond, where we dive deep into the stories shaping our world, right here in North America and far beyond its borders. Today, we're counting down the top 10 ways this massive aluminum shakeup is reshaping industries, economies, and innovations from Quebec's smelters to global ports. If you're loving this kind of in-depth, look at how trade moves the needle. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Top 10 America Beyond for more eye-opening countdowns every week.
Top 10 America Beyond.
Number 10. The spark that lit the fuse: Trump's tariff pledge and immediate market turmoil. It all kicked off with that electrifying rally in Pennsylvania, where the announcement to double steel import tariffs to 50% under Section 232 sent shockwaves through the aluminum world. Overnight, markets flipped into overdrive. The Midwest aluminum premium surged a staggering 54%, hitting a record $1,325 per ton. This wasn't just numbers on a screen. It meant factories across the US suddenly faced skyrocketing costs, with automakers and aerospace firms scrambling to adjust. Canada didn't sit idle, fast-tracking a $1.5 billion smelter upgrade to reroute over 3 million tons of aluminum toward Europe and Asia. It's a classic case of how one policy ripple can create waves felt worldwide, leaving US buyers in a tough spot while others snag deals at pre-tariff prices. But how does this immediate chaos set the stage for longer-term shifts in supply chains? What do you think? Could these tariffs actually strengthen global partnerships in unexpected ways? As we move from the initial jolt to the broader reactions, it's clear that this isn't just about metal prices, it's about rethinking how nations secure their resources in a connected economy. Have you ever wondered how a single announcement can pivot entire industries overnight? In my view, this moment reminds us that resilience in business often starts with quick adaptation. With 54% premium jumps like this, companies that diversify early can turn potential setbacks into opportunities for growth, saving millions in the long run. Number 9. Canada's bold counterpunch, rerouting supplies and locking in global deals. With the tariffs hitting hard, Ottawa stepped up by accelerating that $1.5 billion investment in Quebec's smelter, backed by a fresh Hydro-Quebec power deal for stable, low-cost energy. This upgrade at the Septiles plant, which produces 620,000 tons of primary aluminum annually and employs about 900 workers, isn't just maintenance, it's a strategic pivot. Canada aimed to safeguard North America's supply while earning low carbon credits, making their aluminum even more appealing to eco-conscious buyers. European and Asian markets jumped on it, signing side deals for steady supply at pre-tariff rates, effectively sidelining the US from cheaper options. The impact echoes from Montreal's power-hungry facilities to Shanghai's stamping plants, hinting at changes in global trade dynamics and even oil markets as energy patterns shift. So, what makes Canadian aluminum so attractive right now? Do you see this as a win for sustainable practices in manufacturing? Bridging from this defensive play to deeper market insights, we're seeing how low carbon advantages could under QS prices by up to 20%, forcing tough choices on American firms. Isn't it fascinating how energy deals can become a game changer in trade? Number 8. Whispered trades and tough choices undercutting prices and negotiation leverage. In Montreal's trading hubs, the buzz is all about Canada's low-carbon aluminum potentially slashing US prices by 20% thanks to those hydroelectric perks. Meanwhile, Brussels negotiators are quietly refreshing agreements to secure Quebec supplies before costs climb again. US automakers and aerospace companies are caught in a bind, pay the premiums or navigate ways to source Canadian aluminum, risking delays or higher prices for cars and planes. Behind the scenes, Ottawa's using this to push for wider trade perks, especially in electric vehicle incentives and green energy subsidies. Asian smelters, once hooked on US bauxite, are now flocking to Quebec, bolstering Canada's foothold in EU and Asian markets. Even energy sectors are on alert, as rising aluminum costs could signal feedstock hikes for petrochemical plants, potentially stirring inflation worries. What began as industry protection has evolved into a savvy foreign policy tool, proving economic bounce back can build real power. How might this affect your daily drive or next flight? Share your predictions below. Transitioning to the escalating responses, Ottawa's reveal of the investment pinched US buyers right away, with premiums jumping 54% to 58 cents per pound on June 5, 2025. Could this be the tipping point for more collaborative trade talks? Personally, I believe moments like these highlight the value of innovation in energy, with 620,000 tons of low-carbon aluminum produced yearly. Investing in green tech not only cuts costs by 20%, but also paves the way for a more sustainable future we all benefit from. Number 7. Emergency meetings and short-term shields Canada's rapid response plan. By the afternoon, Canada's Industry Minister Melanie Joly convened an emergency huddle, deeming the tariffs unjust and vowing swift action. With 44% of US aluminum imports from Canada in 2023, these measures posed a direct supply chain threat. The short-term playbook includes financial boosts for smelters like Rio Tinto, with experts warning smaller operations could face cash crunches if tariffs linger past July 21st. Toronto Stock Exchange futures edged up 0.2% to 2% on July 7th, as investors weighed Canada's multi-layered counters amid uncertainty. Ottawa's gearing up to match with its own measures on July 21st, imposing tariff rate quotas at 100% of 2024 volumes for non-FT imports, plus reciprocal procurement rules by June 30th, 2025. Backed by a $10 billion tariff relief loan program, this keeps Canada's metal scene steady while US costs disrupt auto and aerospace flows. How prepared do you think smaller businesses are for these fluctuations? Linking this urgency to forward-thinking strategies, Canada is elevating aluminum to a national asset, prioritizing domestic metals for defense and infrastructure projects announced at the North American Aluminum Summit on June 2, 2025. What role could clean energy play in your community's growth? Number 6. Strategic assets and energy ripples turning metal into national strength. This long-term shift leverages Canada's hydroelectric edge, making aluminum irresistible in tariff-free Europe and Asia. But it goes further, touching energy realms. Boosted Canadian production could trim oil demand in the US. Midwest, reshaping regional patterns since smelters guzzle massive electricity. At heart, Canada's three-phase plan flips tariffs into strategic tools for resilience and stronger foreign ties, avoiding emotional reactions. In May 2025, non-U.S. exports rose 5.7% to a historic 60.81 billion Canadian dollars, masking shifts like 30.1% gold jumps to the UK, crude to Singapore, pork to Japan, and pharma to Italy. These rare routes cushioned US export drops, softening declines. Small and medium firms tapped deals like Seta and Shep, from Quebec's drugs to BC costumes, rewriting export rules and slashing US reliance. It's a bold pivot, protecting economies and sending a clear message of independence. How might diversifying exports change your local job market? Flowing into the US side effects. American manufacturers grapple with 50% tariffs, choosing high costs or foreign sourcing risks that could hike prices and delay lines. Do you believe diversification is key to thriving in global trade? From where I stand, this diversification surge, with exports hitting 60.81 billion KD, teaches us that broadening horizons isn't just smart business, it creates stability, fostering job growth and innovation that lifts communities worldwide. Number 5. Dilemmas for US makers and Canada's trusted rise, backfiring strategies and market share battles. As Europeans and Asians lock in pre-tariff Canadian metals, Washington's approach might boomerang, solidifying Canada as a go-to supplier while saving jobs and gaining leverage. The big question looms: can the US halt Canada's push or keep shedding share? As US factories dial back, Canada's green tech hubs accelerate. SP Global's Canada manufacturing PMI dipped to 45.6 in July 25, marking 5 months down, with the export orders crashing to 40.2, the lowest since May 2020. Yet Canada invests. Ontario EV battery plants snag fresh funds. Manitoba Hydro speeds up for green investors dodging tariffs. In 2023, Canada's aerospace exported over $19 billion in aircraft and parts, underscoring diversification prowess. Quebec commits over 700 million CAD yearly for RD in Montreal. Saguenay and Estrie advancing simulators, composites, and sustainable fuels to shield high-tech jobs. What innovations excite you most in green tech? Shifting to international reactions, this stirs Brussels and Tokyo to secure pre-tariff deals, with Europeans rushing in late May to dodge use hikes, Asians ditching US bauxite for Quebec's low-carbon grid via stable Hydro-Quebec packs. How could this reshape your industry's supply needs? Number 4. Global rushes and tough US spot securing deals and policy tools. American car and aerospace builders face premiums or complex routes, hiking costs and risking delays, whether crafting vehicles or aircraft. Canada's green push morphs into a foreign policy asset, eyes on factories from Toronto to Tokyo for tariff and supply chain evolutions. Tariff pressures fast-track Saguenay port upgrades. By May 2025, deep water docks at Duncan and Marcel Dion handle 69,000-ton ships. Direct rails link smelters to carriers, bypassing US land. In 2023, the port moved 718,600 tons, saving shipment time for Europeans at pre-tariff prices. New cold storage and intermodal yards meet Europe's low-carbon standards. June 2025's 54% US premium spike had Brussels to Tokyo traders booking Canadian slots, while US rivals watched competitors grab efficient channels. Locally, jobs surged near ports and rails. Environmental groups applaud electric cranes and reduced trucking. How do infrastructure boosts like this inspire your view on progress? Connecting to the transformative shift, This is reshaping North American supply thoughts. Canada's ports of power flips the 50% tariff script, sidestepping billions in counters via Alouette expansions and export models. Isn't modern logistics a powerhouse for industry evolution? Number 3. Logistics triumphs and momentum questions flipping scripts and future gambles. Proving green tech and logistics can revamp industries, the lingering query is, can Canada sustain this in upcoming tensions, or will counters emerge? We'd love your take, comment below. For now, aerospace to auto sectors eye July 21st for tariff tweaks. If Canada holds cost edges, buyers might shift north permanently, rewriting trade history. In May 2025, Canadian exports outside the US climbed 5.7%, hitting 60.81 billion CAD, with gold to the UK up 30.1% and other boosts cushioning US dips. Businesses leverage SETA and CHEP for market breaks, reducing vulnerabilities and gaining negotiation clout. US firms stuck with tariffs face high costs or delays as globals secure Canadian goods cheaply. Canada's shift saves jobs and cements reliability. The next trade phase hinges on stopping diversification or losing ground. What strategies could keep momentum alive? Leading into tech surges, as US PMI falls, Canada's hubs thrive with EV and hydro investments. Aerospace exports over $19 billion in 23, and 700 million KD RD yearly. How does this fuel your optimism for innovation? Number 2. Green hubs surging and international stir investments and deal rushes. Brussels and Tokyo leaders hustle for pre-tariff aluminum. Europeans locking in late May, Asians pivoting from US bauxite to Quebec's stable power. US dilemmas persist with premiums or routes, but Canada's energy thrust becomes policy gold. As seasons change, global focus spans Toronto to Tokyo on this high-stakes play altering tariffs, wars and chains. Tariff squeezes upgrade Saguenay deep docks, rails avoiding US 718,600 tons in 2023, time savings and low carbon compliance. Premium spikes drew international bookings, job booms and eco-cheers for electric ops. This transformed supply views, flipping tariffs while dodging billions in responses through expansions. Canada proves logistics and green can industry transform. The big query, sustain momentum or face strikes? Share thoughts, like and subscribe to Top 10 America Beyond for updates. Tying to the pinnacle, this sets up permanent reshapes. July 21 could shake things, but cost advantages might redirect chains north, starting new trade chapters. What future do you envision for global metals? On a personal note, watching this unfold, with aerospace exports at $19 billion, reinforces that embracing green innovation, like 700 million CAD in RD, empowers us to build resilient economies that thrive on collaboration and forward thinking. Number 1. The ultimate game changer: permanent shifts and trade legacy rewrites. At the top of our Top 10 America Beyond countdown, we see how Ottawa's playbook turns resilience into geopolitical edge, from initial shocks to infrastructure wins. What started July 2nd, 2025, with Aluminary Alouette's multi-billion septiles upgrade, safeguarding supply at mid-US premiums, soaring 54% from $860 to $1,323 per ton since May, has snowballed. The plant's 620,000 tons yearly, low-cost power and carbon credits magnetize buyers. Whispers of 20% undercuts, Brussels updates, US choices risking delays, Ottawa's concessions push in EVs and subsidies, all amplify. Asian redirects strengthen roles, energy watches for inflation via feedstock indicators. From June 5th's 58-cent jump exposing 50% tariffs bite, to Jolie's vows, Supports for Rio Tinto. Stock rises. July 21st quotas. $10 billion loans. National asset policies. Energy ripples. May's 5.7% export boom. Diversified routes. US struggles. PMI drops to 45.6. Investments in EV hydro aerospace. $19 billion exports. 700 MRD. Global rushes. Port upgrades. 718,600 tons. Job ecosages. This bold $1.5 billion investment redefines aluminum, trade, and beyond on top E10 America beyond. If Canada keeps edges, change shift north, etching new sagas. What a ride on top 10 America beyond. In wrapping this epic countdown on top E10 America beyond, remember, economic twists like these, with 54% surges and billions in play, underscore that adaptability and green focus can forge paths to prosperity, inspiring us all to think bigger in our interconnected world.